afterward as well. So I just wanted to have Elise come in and talk about outsourcing your large volume shoots, your school shoots, which is what we do here. And Elise, in my group, a lot of people photograph schools. They do like high volume mini sessions. They do, sporting events, whatever, like that kind of thing. And, my class teaches people to do it kind of scrappy on your own because I think the common misconception is that in order to do anything large volume, you have to be like this big box company with all of this fancy software. And I've never done that, right? I've always just kind of pieced it together and made it work. Okay, cool. Everything looks like it's working. So I just that's one of my claims to making this work. You can make it work with anything that you have. You need very minimal stuff. So I actually only outsourced for the very first time to the Image Salon my school shoots this past fall. I used to do them all. We did them all ourselves in-house because it is when you're thinking about schools, you're charging a little bit less for that, digital package or whatever, or the actual prints, and you do have to make a profit. And so I had to make sure that it made sense from a profitability standpoint. But we did get to a point where it did make sense, and it was the easiest, of course, I don't know why I'm surprised, seamless process working with them to get these schools done. We sent them the schools and they got them back to us in like 2 days, even though it says 3 to 5 or whatever, or 5 to 7, I don't remember, but it was lightning fast. I know that's not the guarantee, but that definitely is what happened. And so I just wanted you to maybe give a little insight into what that process is like, if this is something that you're getting a lot of. I know that the pricing is a little bit different. That's going to be what people are most interested in. And what if you get your own editor, those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we discovered school volume. Oh, I think I'm cutting out.
You're not cutting out for me.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm like, the important information is coming out. School photography, you're not making a profit like from the start. You have to make a sale, and in most cases, so we knew that was something really important. And so having our price point starting at 50 or 75 cents, it just didn't make sense for school. And also with school, you're really going for volume. It's a very simple approach. And we created this in-house style, like our in-house classic, very clean edit, which starts at 25 cents per image. So, you've got a big school coming in, 25 cents per image, is a pretty small investment. And the biggest thing with outsourcing that I find, the more and more I talk about it, is that you end up being able to have a consistency, not only in your style, but in the level of work that goes into each image. Whereas when you're doing it yourself, maybe you'll be tempted to put a little extra minute here, an extra minute there, and that adds up to hours of extra work. So that's why we created the school volume pricing. It's not listed on our website because it's really kind of an off books operation. So you'll have to talk to me. So that's our in-house style. Oh, I'm out of focus.
I know, I saw that, but you're back, so it's fine.
But also sometimes, maybe you do have a signature style, like Elena, you have a signature style that you still want to carry through your school work. And that's something that we also appreciate. And we still have a discounted price for that, which starts at 33 cents per image. And we all work together to really figure out what works best for you. And what we do is, you'll talk to me, we'll create some samples, we'll really see what works. And then it works like that. So if it's a personalized style, you'll be assigned one or a team of editors. And then if it's our in-house, we have a task force, the school task force, that will be doing the work on that in-house style because everyone is trained in that style. And that's it. The turnaround time is actually 2 to 3 business days. And yeah, we actually do work with both small one-person operations and also, bigger companies that have dozens of photographers working for them. So it's
I love
both cases.
What you said about when you outsource that it saves the artist from that that desire to want to work too much on one photo or whatever. And that's something that I teach in the class. I always say that I'm like, you don't make any money until after the photos are delivered. So you don't know if that kid parents are going to spend $5, $300, or no dollars, and so you
Hmm.
can't sit there and be nitpicking and editing every little detail because time is money. You don't know that.
Yeah.
So outsourcing is such a perfect way to kind of let go of that control and also just like you said, it'll be much more consistent as well.
Hmm.
So, and we did have a little bit, we have a profile set up. So for those of you that
Yeah.
are wondering how this works, I do have a signature style that I did want a little bit put on there. You know, my stuff is a little more contrasty or whatever. And so they made a profile for me, and then it was like quick after that. So if that's something that you want to have done,
Hmm.
do it for you. And it was, I mean, when I did it, this is how, anytime I outsource anything, whether it be editing or get an assistant or whatever, I'm like, why did I not do this before? I mean, when we did that for the schools and the turnaround was so quickly, my assistant and I were like, oh, what a waste of time that we've been, because you hold on to the money. I mean, it's like that $200 or whatever, was like money well spent. And it came back
Yeah.
after the clients were super satisfied. Everything was consistent. Everything was quick. They got their photos like within a week. Like it was really great.
And that's time that you can put towards other aspects of your business, and doing those sales and meeting those parents that maybe they now want to book you for a family session. So that time is money. So it's great. And I mentioned the different price points, and I do want to give an idea that the highest price point for school, when we're keeping with Lightroom, I'm not talking booger removal,
Yeah.
is 44 cents. So that includes dodging and burning and all of the fun stuff, and cropping. So it spans from 25 cents to 44 cents, and that's something I can discuss on a one-on-one level with everyone.
So is that,
um,
and when you say that it's a one-on-one level, then, so if anybody would like to, is considering this and hasn't
mhm.
done it yet, they need to reach out and like schedule a one-on-one meeting with.
Yeah, I would either set them up with myself or with our onboarding team. They're also familiar with the pricing structure and everything. So we have a amazing team of onboarders, that's now grown to, they're 4 people. For those who don't know Image Salon, we're 75 people out of Montreal, and yeah, it's been pretty fun to see it grow, and now including school photography. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think that a lot of us that are newer to this probably, it definitely is a big endeavor, big thing to take on. And if you're starting with a school that's more like 20 kids or 60 kids, like the little preschools, I would say edit yourself first and see how
Mhm.
that process goes. Make sure you have a clean style. But if you're getting up to volumes of 100 or more children, that is a lot of photos to deal with. And we actually did cull them ourselves, I think, still. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. But
Yeah.
they have culling services as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. And that also is discounted. So normally the culling is 6 cents per image sent, but for school, we actually put it down to 4 cents. So that is also discounted. So
Yeah.
fun, fun.
Such a good investment for your, I mean, time is money.
Yeah.
Time is money. And there were lots of, and it looks like we're having connective issues, but it's fine because I'm recording the Zoom, so I'll just share it with them. But I'm going to go into the group and find older questions because I had a bunch,
Hmm.
or a few at least, about this. And sorry, this live video situation is a little bit of complicated for any of you that are going to watch. I promise it's recorded. It's here. Um, okay. I'm just gonna see if there's any questions here. Okay. So people are saying they would consider using Image Salon for their other parts of their business as well. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know this about me, and I've always been a huge advocate of the Image Salon for so many reasons, but they've been editing all of my family and newborn work for, gosh, we're probably getting to like 4 years or 5. I don't
Yeah.
even remember now.
I can't even believe it. I think it's already over 3 years that I was with you and Bree in Portland, Maine, not
That,
Oregon.
yeah. So then that means it's been like 5 probably that I've been outsourcing my editing, and it changed my business. It changed the trajectory of my business. At that point, it was like about this time of year, I had like 12 sessions to edit in my queue. I had just been like, well, I guess I'm booked for the year. Like I literally can't take on anymore. I was trying to grow the education part of my business, and Bree talked me into it. She said, just do a consult and try. It'll free up some time. And in my
Mhm.
mind, I was like, okay, if I do this, I can take on 5 more sessions and it'll pay for all of these sessions. I mean, I like did a, I don't remember what the math was, but it was something like that. And I was able to take on 25 more sessions or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
That part of my business was just like free to,
Mhm.
explore. And that was life changing. And then I, never turned back. I actually feel like I never want to edit again. Just kidding. But I kind of don't. I don't enjoy editing. It's not where the magic happens for me. So it just feels so good to let that go. And with large
Yeah.
volume photography, it's like I actually can't believe it took me so long to do it. And I think it's just because I want not making as much upfront. So
Mhm.
I didn't miss it. I didn't miss the money that we spent having it
Mhm.
edited. You don't. That couple $100 is like worth your time. So
Mhm.
and everything else with school photography takes a lot of time. So it's really nice to like let one of the things go like that.
And if I can speak, actually, I'm on the other end of things. Like I obviously don't do a lot of photography because I give all my time to Image Salon because I love it so much. But I do some photography, both family and weddings, and I love editing. I mean, no, that's why I became an editor at Image Salon to start with. Um, but so I have that opposite problem where for me outsourcing would mean that it's what I was talking about at the start is I would become obsessive and I wouldn't be able to let go of some images and I would just go too far into detail on each image. Whereas outsourcing, like I said, like it gives you that standard level of quality,
Yeah.
which is so important when you're running a volume operation because you want your clients to know what they can expect in terms of the level of work that's going to be done. So
Absolutely. And that's something that I see actually in my students when they'll show galleries and like one student's editing is different than another's, and that's not great. You don't want that to happen. You want it to be really, really consistent. So that's just
mhm.
another reason why letting someone else take over is important. And we're so emotionally attached to everything that we do as photographers. So it's like when you start editing, you get, into that little nitty gritty, and it's nice to have someone else do it for you. So.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. It's super, and it's fun. Like, I mean, with school volume, it's kind of a go, 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 right? You're just sending and receiving, sending and receiving. But if you're also looking to outsource other aspects of your business, you definitely want to look into the profile work where you're assigned an editor. And there's a beautiful relationship that ends up happening with your editor, which is really cool. So
Yeah,
it's
I've
part
been
of what I love.
same editor. I've been with Katarina for, so I had another editor who I loved. Jessie was her name, I think,
Hmm.
beginning. I had her for like only 6 months though, and then there was like a 3 month period where we couldn't get anyone nailed in that was the right fit for me. So just so you know, that's normal too to like go back and
Yeah.
forth and figure that out. And then I got Katarina. I've had the same editor for years. And
Hmm.
she's part of my team. I mean, I will like send her messages and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're just killing it." And she's like, she evolves with me. Like when I'm like, let's try this or let's do this, and she's like open to it, and it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's really fun.
So what would you say, I guess, to anyone that's nervous about trying it out for their school photography? What advice would you give them?
Moment.
Oh,
I'm gonna. Okay, no, we're back.
but
Um, I think it's normal to be nervous. As a photographer, you're a business person and you're an artist, so it's normal. Like you feel like you're letting go of part of your artistic integrity. But I would say, just sign up, do an onboarding session, and you'll learn a little more about our process and how we do things. And just give it a try. And once you are able to do a few sessions, you'll really feel like, oh my gosh, I have all this time now that I can do other things. And especially my biggest thing with Image Salon is avoiding people the late night editing sessions. I just hate that. I know, like I go to bed at 9:30. So I'm like, I know that people are just settling in front of their computers. The kids are asleep. And now it's like, okay, now I have a 4 or 5 hour of editing to do. And I just think, that can be avoided. So,
right, by
um,
giving it to somebody who's working this as their full time,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's another thing I'll just say about abundance, the mindset of abundance, and us being all of us, who are entrepreneurs might have a little bit of like a lack, programming where we think every dollar we make is we're barely going to make it. We got to keep it all here because who knows when the next job's going to come in or whatever that happens. That's like the starving artist
Hmm.
mentality. It's
Yeah.
totally. But the truth of that, the energy of that is that if you actually kind of let some of that go, think about what you're doing. You're helping
Hmm.
other artists live, and giving them a living wage, and then you're able to take on more. And it's just this really cool cycle. And one thing that any company that I work with, any company that I bring to my community, there aren't many. I know the owners. I know the people who work with them, and Elise is, gosh, the highest up under the owners at Image Salon, right? I would say you're like running the
There's one other person, but yeah, we're like joint at the hip.
at the Image Salon, and it's owned by Daniel and Davina, who have been friends of mine who I've admired for years, and they're just like amazing people. They care so much about their company, and Elise and I have become really good friends. We've met in real life multiple times, and she just the customer support and like the greater good that's happening with this company. I can't say enough about it. So when people will say, "Oh, well, XYZ is a little bit cheaper," they're not that much cheaper. These other companies that people talk about, and I don't know about their integrity, but I know the integrity of this company is just something that I want to be part of and support. So just make sure think about that when you're about to exchange the energy of money with someone that you know that it's
Hmm.
a good company that you're working with.
Hmm. No, that's yours. Thank you so much for those words. That's part of why I've been at Image Salon for so long, going on 6 years. And it's always been that energy that I find as an employee, as a manager now. Really, we're a super tight knit team, and it's what I've found really interests people to a lot more now is wanting to know where the workforce is. And for us, we're all, in Canada, in Montreal, some in Alberta. They've moved during the pandemic. They moved across the country, but yeah, it's just so nice to know. For me, at some point, we passed the tip of 100 employees, which was wild. We'll get there again. Um,
Scale back a
but
little.
to know, oh yeah, for sure, I'm not. It's not even a question. But to me, knowing that we hire 100 artists full time and that they can live from their art and that they have the flexibility of being able to also, because a lot of them are photographers or sculptors or graphic designers, and that they can also do that work um,
Yeah.
on the side is fantastic. So yeah.
Another thing about editing too, for me, I did my own editing for 8 years. I'm fine. I'm an okay editor, but I am not like that's not where it happens for me. So like to give it to someone else, I feel like they're better. Katarina's better at that than I am. She is. And it always blows me away too when someone's really good at something, how efficient they are. So like
Mhm.
very rarely is there anymore a time where I'm like, oh, the skin tones in this gallery. I look at them all before I send them to the clients, obviously, but the skin tones need to be quick fixed, or I'll say, you know what, like, because poor Katarina, my light is I like shoot with sun flare coming through people's heads, and it's like got ridiculous. Or I'll just do a whole shoot at full sun. I'm like, we met at noon, sorry about this, Katarina, it's gonna be really bright. So once in a while I have to like ask her to fix something, and it's literally like an hour later if it's still within business hours because we're a 3 hour time difference. But she'll be like, here you go, and it's done, and it's because she's good at it. Where for
Yeah.
me, I would be sitting there stressing about the minutia and like maybe not as efficient, and I don't understand it as well because it's not the only thing that I
Mhm.
do. There's so much to be said about that too, about having an
Oh
ex.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I think, I do sometimes give talks on like editing and consistency and all of that. And even just internally, I've trained editors, and when you're starting out or when you don't do it full time for your job, you look at someone edit who's an editor and you're like, you're going so fast. How can you do it and it still be good? And it's like, well, I've done this 40 hours a week for however long, so it's normal, and you do have to give yourself a little bit of grace if you're not that fast. I think it's normal. Oh yeah.
For sure. I mean, it used to take me, I would say that was the biggest time suck for especially newer artists, especially newer photographers, because you're not just editing, you're correcting.
Hmm.
I will say that when people are talking about outsourcing their editing, I'm like, make sure you're at a place where
Mhm,
it's not that you're sending your work to someone to be corrected. Once in a
mhm.
while that's necessary. We all
Yeah.
make mistakes or whatever, but you want to be consistently getting it right in camera, because editing can only correct so much.
Mhm,
Once you get past that, it's more about putting that artistic flair, putting the whatever style it is that you would like on your work, and it's just so nice to have somebody on the team.
yeah. I do think it's important to do it yourself in the beginnings and to understand it a little bit. You don't have to become an expert editor. That's not what you're trying to be. You're trying to be a photographer, and live off of that. But knowing the basics of how something's going to go from in camera to your Lightroom or Photoshop. If you're taking your school photography into Photoshop, stop it right now. You don't need to. But yeah,
Well,
learning a little bit about,
when I did it myself, which I'm trying to remember but I batch edited in Photoshop.
in Camera Raw. Yeah.
Into Photoshop, I was using the batch processor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Still, and I still would argue that Lightroom is better suited for that.
Make a video for them. Well, that one video that you made, send it to me and I will give it to them. I think we're good because it's just in the course group, but
Mm.
we will talk.
I know I had recorded it with blown out faces to protect identities, and that's no good, no good. So I'll make another one though. I think it's good because even if you do outsource, sometimes maybe there's a session that you need to do yourself because of time, because it's the weekend. Um, and so yeah, I think it's important for you guys to have those tools and to know that it doesn't have to take forever. And there's a lot of tricks that you can use to your advantage. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, anything else you'd like to say about getting started with? I mean, and I feel like I could upload this to like my YouTube channel so that people can just know about Image Salon in general. That if you are an experienced family or newborn photographer, wedding photographer, and you're doing your own editing, you don't have to.
Mm.
Like, you can let that part go if you want. I mean, if it's important to you, but you will save thousands of hours a year.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if it's the cost that's stopping you, definitely just doing your cost of doing business and realizing how much each session would cost you, and then just putting that into your pricing and problem solved. So that's definitely an easy solution. No, I encourage Elena, maybe you can drop my email in the chat and just have people reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you guys one on one. I can't see your comments or anything, but I know you're there.
Yeah, we kind of our connection is a little bit spotty, so I'm gonna share this recording in the group. So,
Yeah. And yeah, no, definitely just get in touch with me and I'll set you guys all up with the information.
well, thank you, Elise.
Thank you for having me.
Stop recording.